What's going on, YouTube? Culturedog Sam Hatch with a much delayed Laserdisc update video. Yes, I hear from Laserdisc fans all the time. They want to know when the next video is coming out, and many apologies for having a big deluge of Blu-ray reviews lately, but I've been getting so many cool screeners that I'm trying to balance that LD content with the Blu-ray content and keep a fresh balance. And of course, I dropped the ball on that because I just got so much stuff from Scream Factory and Arrow recently that the Blu-ray hopper is totally full. And a lot of the ideas I had for LD videos kind of got kicked to the curb for a minute. So we're back with an LD update video. So many apologies for the distractions and the delay in getting this out. And I wish I could spend a little bit more time in doing more Spotlight videos on each individual Laserdisc. I had some good requests recently for LD Spotlight videos. So I'm going to do my best to make those happen. And a couple other collection ideas too. So one of these days, I got to quit that day job. Don't listen day job, and then do this all the time. But I picked up a couple things over the past couple months now, I think. And the first batch was a lot. There was a gentleman who was an old school collector, was into it in the 90s like I was, shopped at a lot of the same places, like Laser Craze in Boston, etc. And he had a pretty decent collection of stuff he was looking to offload. But on the same hand, he also wasn't quite ready to own the reality of where the Laserdisc market is right now. And he often referenced that people would call and they'd say, no way, I'm not buying this lot for like $10 a disc. Like, no way. $1 a disc, $2 a disc. And then he was looking at eBay and realizing that, eBay prices alone, which are sometimes higher than everyday average street prices, still weren't reflecting what he wanted out of them. So he was like, these things will only go for $4, Criterion disc for $4. I'm like, well, sometimes that's how it goes. Sometimes, depending on the condition a little bit more, the hotness of the title, etc. But there's some titles, that are just, considered commons nowadays and don't command the money they commanded in 1993 or whatever. So I ended up buying a small batch off of him, and he wasn't quite ready, to part out the whole collection. But it was cool just getting to talk with a fellow LD collector from vintage times, and it was a really good time just going over his house and checking out his stuff and everything like that. One of the discs I got was an 8-inch music disc. I don't have too many of these, but Spinal Tap, Break Like the Wind, the videos, which features a couple versions of Bitch School, the cleaner MTV version, the original, and the Majesty of Rock. So some fun stuff there. Also grabbed a bit of an upgrade. He had a copy of this disc, and mine had a little bit of speckling. In fact, I'm selling my older copy. If anybody wants this movie with a tiny bit of speckling, you can have it. But I figured I would take a chance on the fact that this might be clean, and it was. It actually looks really good. Frankenstein Unbound. Kind of fun, Roger Corman flick that's a little bit, I want to say it's underrated, but I enjoy it more than most people do. Good stuff, good cast. So it was worth giving that a shot. And also picked up a flick that I've been meaning to get forever. The Peter Medak flick, The Krays, with Gary and Martin Kemp as the Kray brothers who tore through the Whitechapel district with all sorts of gangster-related bloodshed back in the day. That was actually a decent 2-episode arc of the Whitechapel TV series, where they had a modern-day, sequels to the Reign of Terror waged by the Krays, where a couple younger guys said that they were blood relations and secret sons of the Krays. Been looking forward to getting this on Laserdisc since reading about it in a widescreen review back in the day. And also grabbed a couple Criterions that I did not have. Believe it or not, I had the CLV version of this, but I just sold it now that I got the double disc gatefold CAV RoboCop. Really, really nice release. This thing used to go for about $100 back when it came out. So I had to grab that. And likewise, I've owned this on DVD tons of times, but never the Criterion collection. And apart from, I think, a stress fracture that you can't really even see, this thing is minty. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And it's a fun disc with some good special features. Pretty much essential for a Criterion collection. And then a few more music-related titles. I had to say yes to this. The price was right. Stevie Ray Vaughan and Double Trouble Live at El Mocambo. I believe MTV showed this at one point back in the day, and I videotaped it off of cable. But it's wicked cool having a Laserdisc copy. And I believe Sony's plant pressed this, but there's no rot, so that's nice. And the one title I was the most excited about out of the whole batch, and I really didn't think I'd ever have a copy of this, but Ministry, in case you didn't feel like showing up live. This was the live home video du jour way back when. I remember even MTV News freaking out over it. Just the kind of chaos of the tour. It's from the Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste era. And they had a cage, like it was like a cage match with the audience. Yeah, the band was all behind a big steel fence. And there's some cool cameos. Jello Biafra shows up in there. And it's more about capturing the spirit of the show than it is about a true kind of live document. And it's very frenetic, and it's more about the editing, etc. But it's way cool to have, and you don't really see that on Laserdisc coming up. Then I got a bunch of stuff on eBay, some more James Bond stuff. I know, big surprise, right? But I'm getting closer to completing my United States Bond disc run. I grabbed this old pan and scan copy of Casino Royale. It's actually kind of a cool layout there, graphic-wise. Not too shabby. And Chris Altman from Laserdisc Forever hooked me up with a couple discs. The Connery Classics Bond release of From Russia With Love. So, shout out to Chris! Cool guy, metalhead. So, always cool to run into fellow bangers. He also hooked me up with a copy of Living Daylights, pan and scan. So that was a cool surprise. And then I got a few other Bond releases, some small lots on eBay, including the 20th Century Fox video version of From Russia With Love. I showed you my CBS Fox version in a previous video, which has a different cover image. And speaking of CBS Fox, I had to get the CBS Fox version of Goldfinger. I got the 20th Century Fox version when I was in Texas a couple months ago. So now I've got both of them time compressed. So, I mean, it kind of sucks, but but I need it for the illogical collection. And this is a bit of a beater. And, man, I always hated Warner's look to their old stylings. It was the same thing they used in their clamshells, but never say never again. I always like the faux stickers they have on there. It's like it's ready for a rental store. So this one's a little beat up, but it was in a lot, and I didn't have it yet, so that works. And what else do we have? Oh, Luke Sincata from Laserdisc Forever. Shout out to Luke! It's wicked cool, and sold me his copy of Tomorrow Never Dies in DTS Digital Surround. I fired this up almost immediately, and it crushed. Really, really good sound on this sucker. So now I just need the GoldenEye one, and I'll be squared away on the DTS front. Also grabbed some other little gaps, filled some gaps in my Bond collection from... This one's not letterboxed. It's interesting how the pan and scan versions of the kind of gold top collection all just went with Connery Classics and More Classics if they weren't letterboxed. This is the More Classics gatefold edition of The Man with the Golden Gun. Pretty decent shape. And then I got the counterpart, a reissue from probably 93 maybe? Let's see if it has the date on the back here. Yeah, 93. Man with the Golden Gun. I love this series. I really wish they had been able to finish it, but they were going to go through and release the films again, and mostly they did the ones that were previously unletterboxed, and finally letterboxed them. But they used the original cover art, and they did a few I've Got This and License to Kill, and just way cool looking. I like the whole kind of black and gold motif on the backside and the spine. Really classy looking discs, and they stand out nice on the shelf. But so I finally got that. And Jared Kaufman hooked me up with a little bit of the spoils of some of his recent successes, finding honey holes of sealed Laserdisc. There was a guy that he bought a bunch of things from that was a dealer back in the day, and had tons of Pioneer Laserdisc swag and all sorts of promo stuff, and just had pretty much like a stocked store, just a capsule in time sitting around with all these sealed Laserdiscs and double copies of things just ready to go. And one of the things he had was a sealed copy of Criterion Collection Goldfinger. I had the CAV version already with the commentary track, so I'm in the weird enviable position of having the ones with the band commentary tracks already. I just need the single disc CLV reissues, so I've got this one, just need 2 more, and I'm all squared away on the Criterion Bond front. So, thanks to Jared. Shout out to Jared! And also got a couple other old pan and scan double disc sets from those eBay lots on Her Majesty's Secret Service, which I don't believe is time compressed. I'll have to check that out. And love the artwork on this sucker. Moonraker. Getting closer to completing. And then I did a bit of a trade with Peter Biancardi from Laserdisc Forever and from the planet Earth. And he wanted a couple of my Japanese metal discs and like a Motley Crue disc from the US and some Warrant and Extreme discs. And I thought, well, if we're going to get into like shreddy guitar kind of stuff, I got to trade for something equally like banging. So he hooked me up with a couple discs, or actually a few discs to trade with. And yes, the ever-present figure on the Sunset Strip scene back in the day, Enya, with Moon Shadows, about 4 or 5 tracks from her first couple solo albums after she bounced from Clannad. And yeah, man, late at night, you just got to chill and crank up the Enya. And if you're still on Skarsgård, you torture people, which I don't do. And then equally heavy, 10,000 Maniacs, Time Capsule. I'd had this on VHS for the longest time, and this was on my little stack of VHS tapes that I had meant to replace on Laserdisc, so that stack gets, a little bit lower. So if anybody needs Time Capsule on VHS, give me a shout. And it's got, all the band's videos up to a certain point, up until, You Happy Puppet. So this came out in 1990. Good disc. And since we're on that same train, I figured I'd keep it rolling with MTV Unplugged. And again, I've been meaning to get this, replace my old VHS copy. Now, of course, I had the CD counterpart, but really good performance. And, not always easy to find on Laserdisc. So, cheers to Peter Biancardi for hooking that up. Shout out to Peter! And that's about it for what I got recently. I've got a few more in the mail and another Japanese package. There's always a Japanese package en route. That should be here soonish, hopefully. So hopefully you guys had fun tripping through these discs, and there'll be many more to come shortly. So have a delightful week, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers!